573 days since D-Day. But who's keeping count? That's just over the 1.5-year mark since I learned of your 6-month emotional and physical affair. You were promiscuous before, but I chalked it up to us being a young couple, very early 20s and probably looking to live a little. We worked past that. This time though? This time was different. While I was devoting my life to our family, working nights and taking day shifts any chance they came up so I could provide extra, or to have a few extra dollars to take you and the kids out, you were having your affair. Not only physically, but emotionally. Not only did you bring him into my house, and into my bed, but to our kids. Our neighbors all knew of your infidelity, however being I worked all night, slept what I could during the day, you somehow painted this picture of me being a controlling monster whom you couldn't get away from. I never once held you back. In fact, I tried pushing you when you wouldn't push yourself. Our neighborhood was all in on it. You had a plan to escape with this guy. This guy who is apparently here to steal you away with our kids to take care of you. The guy who still lived in a temp stay across the street with his parents. This was your knight in shining armor. The guy who had the balls to try playing husband-dad while I was at work, doesn't have the balls to approach the situation, does he? Where did he go when I found out? He ghosted you for the next 2 months until he popped back up seeing if you two could play together again. The emotional and physical damage your affair did to me, you cannot, and never will understand. The mental torture. It would be easier to count to you the number of days in 2018 where I didn't bawl on the way to work while contemplating to drive straight off the overpass. The number of times the thought of being good enough not only for my marriage, but for my family. I mean, if you could toss me to the side, why couldn't the kids at some point? Who knows what you were telling them during all of this? Fast forward to now. 1.5 years later. 573 days, since I mistakenly grabbed your phone. We're both here still together, still trying to get back at least above water. But I'm still drowning. The thoughts flood my mind. I just want it to end. I want the heartache to end. I want to feel worth something. Because at the end of the day, I'll continue to wonder why I wasn't enough for you. Redditors' reactions, story 2 after. Redditor 1, end it man. It's ripping you apart and you deserve better. A track record of cheating ends in only one way. She cheats on you again and is more careful. Redditor 2, cheaters gonna cheat. Fools me once. Now that I've removed myself from my cheating ex-wife, I would never continue dating someone that has cheated before. Regardless of age. It shows their true personality, and they don't feel they're guilty. My ex-wife blames me for making her attracted to other men. No. That's not how it works. Not at all. If you're unhappy, leave. Don't cheat. Redditor 3, you need to show her this. Op answer, I've been contemplating this. I've written once here before but got braided with hate mail, so I'm on the fence. There was a really good post someone had a couple of months ago that was very detailed. I made her sit down and read it and she was full of tears then, but that was then and this is now. But you're probably right. Story 2, my 29, M partner of 1.5 years 26, F has revealed she was a S-time worker for a short time about 1 month into our relationship, lied repeatedly. I have done enough lurking on Reddit over the years for various serious relationship problems to predict what sorts of responses I might receive from this post, but as I'm currently in a situation where I've only been able to ask a couple of close friends for help with this, also with predictable advice responses, and waiting for a therapist to get back to me regarding my first session ever, I figured I would reach out here for some opinions, or at the very least, to attempt to get this off my chest, examine the facts and my thoughts properly. Many thanks in advance for spending time replying, if anyone does. Edit, I'm at the end of writing this and it's extremely long. Yes, it has become more of an off my chest. So be it. My tumultuous though satisfying and fulfilling in many ways relationship with partner of 1.5 years is possibly or probably still undecided at its end due to her finally revealing that she worked as a prostitute, everything but intercourse, at a fake massage parlor for a short time about 1 month into our relationship. Further, she lied repeatedly when I questioned her about this several times throughout our relationship. I knew she was connected to this work through a non-prostitution's time-related job, and that she personally knew prostitutes. It seems that she only stopped working when I suggested getting married as a way for her to remain in my country, and so would no longer need to pay for college. I'm aware that suggesting marriage a month into a relationship is its own kind of crazy. A quick note, she is not from a poor country, not from a destitute family, and so this is not a story of a desperate girl from a developing country getting into prostitution, then using a Western man for visa purposes. It just isn't, and I don't want to spend another hour typing out why I have written enough. Some background: started dating October 2020, moved in together January 2021. I'm 29, she's 26, we're from very different cultures. I'm from North America, she's from an East Asian country. The beginning of the relationship was amazing, so fun, talking for hours on end despite not sharing the same native language, her being far more proficient in English compared to me in her language. I felt deeply that she cared about me, accepted me, and felt a sense of freedom, lack of insecurity which I had not experienced previously. However, after moving in together during the pandemic, both of us more or less unemployed, things really started to take a turn for the worse. Both of us were irrationally insecure about each other's testimonial relationship histories throughout the relationship, though she became far worse than I ever was, and about somewhat normal things about me. I was testimonially active in high school. I had a few real long-term relationships where I loved them so much. By worse, I mean that her response to experiencing this severe retroactive jealousy, as it's been termed, was often to shut down, give me the silent treatment, withdraw affection, question and or shame again, about normal stuff endlessly, express intense jealousy, suggest she have more time in order to be equal, as can probably be gathered. She'd been more testimonially active than myself, threaten, suggest breaking up and stay this way for days at a time. More and more, her depressed state became the norm, sometimes leading to disappearing for many hours at a time without telling me where she was going, plus suicidal thoughts. I would never shame someone for being depressed, or suggest she just be happy. I have been there, understand that it does not work this way. However, this was centered around irrational thoughts about my past, to an extent blaming me for her condition. Though I knew this to not be true and mainly due to childhood trauma, it was maddening to be doing my best for her, being treated in this way, and intermittently struggling with my own insecurity at the same time. I am also aware that being depressed does not excuse treating your partner like it. I did my very best at all times to explain, reassure her, suggested counseling, which she eventually did, which is probably what led to this secret eventually being let out, suggested many other forms of treatment or ways of working on the problem. However, as I have experienced forms of abuse and manipulation in other relationships, I knew exactly what was happening: childish, manipulative games, intended to control and test me, but stayed and continued to work on it regardless. Yes, my personality includes many elements of the Niska syndrome, which is another reason I'm seeking therapy. I'm tired of being this way in general. Despite being aware of my personality flaws, going down the same path over and over, it's hard for me to convey how much I wanted to be with her. Despite how bad what I've described above was, the good parts were so good. We got along so well despite being from different countries' cultures, and having few truly similar interests. Humor, weirdness, time, a feeling of safety being myself. I did feel like I found the person I wanted to stay with. Despite my not being treated properly, I felt strongly that the person I was initially so attracted to was hiding just under the surface. I just had to be patient and work at it. I knew how good it could be, and pushed forward. I should mention why we revealed so much to each other about our pasts. Well, a surface reason is that we spent way too much time together after moving in together. We were both more or less unemployed during this stage of the pandemic, and stayed home nearly every day together. Another reason was, I wanted to emphasize being totally truthful and open with each other from the beginning. Soon after moving in, we revealed to each other that we both had been unfaithful to someone else in the past in some form. It made me feel secure that we could admit this and move on with each other as changed, honest partners. I will not try to justify anything of this nature I did in the past, of course. At the time I felt justified in some way, but quickly realized there is no justification or excuse for betraying someone. I communicated this and that it would be impossible for me to do the same again. I did so as a stupid, immature, confused guy unable to express or admit feelings in a healthy way. She more or less said the same thing, and that she couldn't cheat on me, either. A few other small details: there was a 3-month period in which she went back to her country, which was extremely tough. Seeing her family brought up tons of bad stuff which resulted in her almost not returning to my country. She did end up coming back, after which we moved again into a far nicer place, partially in order to at least feel like we were moving forward with life together. So, with all of this said, recently in the last month or so, the counseling really began to work for her. There were a few bad days, but on the whole, she was beginning to be able to control her automatic responses to getting upset about my past. I'd started to feel positive again about our future together. She was opening up about childhood trauma to the counselor, and becoming able to show me more and more affection, treat me in the way I need to be treated by my partner, with basic respect and affection. Christmas Eve, it was a bad day. She pressed me about a detail about my past, and while I have learned that she does not take hearing these things well, she convinced me that she would feel better if she just heard the detail. I told her, and surprise, things became much worse. This culminated in her offhandedly telling me that she had actually been timely assaulted while drunk by 5+ customers at her old job, hostess bar where the girls are paid to sit and drink with men, not service timely. This sent me into a rage directed mostly at the perpetrators, and also her lack of education around this issue. She was saying it was her fault for drinking too much, and that all of the girls in this profession think this way, that it is up to them to control or reject sexual assault. With this new knowledge, she had me convinced that nothing of the sort had ever happened. I decided to ask her one more time if she had ever done anything sexual for money. At this point, she broke down completely. She had worked at a fake massage parlor for 6 days while dating me, she said, doing everything but eat a course. Her reasons: she didn't trust me, didn't know that I really cared about her at that time, as she had only known men who used her, didn't care about her. I was the first to show her real unconditional love. She needed money for college to stay in this country, and switched to this job after telling me she would quit the hostess club. I had explained plainly why I didn't like it and gave her a choice, me or the job. She didn't regret anything until months later, first without knowing why she felt bad, then realizing the reason was that she knew I truly cared and loved her and that she had made a terrible mistake. I do not believe I am being lied to any longer, nor do I believe I'm being manipulated at this point. Reasons below. Today is day 5 of living with this knowledge, and we are still living together in this one-bedroom apartment. She had tested positive for COVID shortly beforehand. I have not been tested yet, but have been physically unwell since yesterday with flu symptoms, so likely have it. There is nowhere to go, nothing to do. I know this is very bad for my ability to make any coherent choices or think properly. I am extremely confused. This is why opening up about this has completely changed her. I believe a key reason for her bad behavior towards me all this time was the holding of that secret. Now, she has completely opened up about everything, tells me she has realized how I felt all that time trying hard for her and receiving nothing in return. She has said so in words and written me countless letters explaining everything and expressing, in detail, how everything is different for her now. She regrets everything so deeply and knows that could never happen again. I have changed her by showing her real love. I need to mention that there are no delusions on either side, though. She doesn't think she's going to get anything by doing a 180 at this point, and so I don't feel any manipulation on her part, just a sad trying or hoping. All of the letters, endless attempts at explaining, expressing regret, cooking me wonderful food which I of course can't enjoy properly anymore, etc. She is aware that it's selfish to be doing all of this now in order to convince me to stay with her. But she does not expect anything to happen in her favor. I've always been an overly empathetic person and can feel her pain, understand or at least imagine her reasons for doing what she did, her lack of feeling in the past, and truly believe that she is different now. I guess I'm not looking for any discussion about the morality of S-time work in general, here. I don't believe it's wrong and don't want to shame anyone who participates in this. However, for me, I would never have chosen to date a S-time worker. From the beginning I asked directly about whether she'd done that, was repeatedly lied to and most importantly wasn't given a choice. Much of the intense anger and feelings of hatred towards those who pushed her in the direction of beginning this work, the men who paid for her service, the business owners etc., has passed, leaving me in a depressed, confused state. I'm torn between two major ways of thinking about what to do next. On the one hand, she lied, and engaged in a type of work which is far away from matching up with my values or personality. I've been a non-promiscuous guy my whole life, only having a limited number of S-time encounters within relationships or with a connection of some kind. I'm worried that staying in this will continue to harm me as least for now, and without therapy, I will be imagining what she did every time I look at her, every time I go outside and see men in general. She served customers from a wide age range, ethnicities etc. in her 6 days. Much of what I believed about her wasn't true from the beginning. Promiscuous, very experienced in emotionless S-time but not a S-time worker. This is the first time in my life that I have felt betrayal on this level. Also, if I stay with her, I'm aware of what this says about me, that I allow others to hurt me without paying the price which I have done in the past, so this will mean I still haven't learned. On the other hand, I have also betrayed someone's trust in the past, so I can understand how this can happen. I know that we can think in strange ways when we are messed up and wonder how could I possibly have done that. In hindsight, I believe that I have already paid dearly for my mistakes. I will not go into how I paid, but one way that I am trying to look at this situation is, experiencing it myself is true payment. Now that I know how it is, and the fact that it has happened with this woman who I have already built something with, who now appears to be becoming someone who will try her best to meet my needs from this point on, perhaps doing my best to live with it and move on, is what I deserve. I believe that people can change, using myself as an example, and even now it would kill me to throw away everything we have together. I know there are other fish in the sea, but I love her. I have a somewhat dark past, too. I don't enjoy dating and feel that the process of getting to know someone is exhausting. I believe in forgiveness ultimately. I would love for this to work. I am not excusing her behavior in any way, shape or form, but she comes from a history of trauma, cold, emotionally abusive and manipulative narcissistic mother, dad started new family when she was a teen, etc. I can imagine how messed up her mind has been. Also, I feel her real remorse and feel the ways in which she has changed. Though this is of course going to be my choice in the end, I am seeking opinions and help as I wait for my first therapy appointment. I am expecting most will tell me to run, or else tell me that in fact yes, since I committed infidelity, so I have gotten exactly what I deserve, but hoping for more nuanced responses based on the details I have given. Edit: I want to thank everyone who took the time to reply, and sorry I haven't replied individually. As I'm sure you all know, processing this kind of thing is painful and I almost couldn't bear to reply, but may or may not later on. Definitely a lot of helpful things were said to support both sides. I did not forget the danger of STDs, and thanks to those who brought this up. This is actually where a large portion of my rage came from, but simply avoided or forgot to write about it here. I should have mentioned that she used a Cenodom for the OLS time every time, and there was apparently no contact with fluids besides on the skin, but of course this is not foolproof. We'd both been tested after this period, but realize there can be a long incubation period. I will continue to be tested regularly into the future. The current situation is, I have calmed down significantly, will be starting therapy January 3rd. I may still tell her to leave and she is fully aware of this, but is still trying her best. As we're both in quarantine, it isn't feasible to kick her out at this moment. I am still on the fence, as several of you have written. It's a matter of whether or not I can deal with what she did. Wishing everyone the very best. Thank you again. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, you are not married, don't have kids, aren't financially tangled, and you are young. You can do better. Redditor follow-up, yep. If he stays with her, he'll post here again in the future. This is either the point he gets out and builds towards something better, or where he'll look back with regret for not leaving when it would have been a lot easier to do so. Redditor 2, I think you have to weigh the options. If you can forgive what she's done and move on with her, then I'd say just let the past go and enjoy life with her. If you're stuck with it and know you can't let go, then so be it. Time to say goodbye. There's nothing wrong with trying to see if you can make it work. Maybe it will and maybe it won't. But if you walk away now, will you look back and regret not trying? I gave my STBXW second chance after she had a 7 years affair. Everyone Earl and on Reddit said I was FCK and dumb. But I believed when she said she was sorry and wanted to really try. I loved her too much, I loved my kids too much. So I tried. I forgave her, and for 3 months, we actually had a good relationship. Until I caught her with a new guy. People laugh, shake their heads, mention the whole fool me twice, shame on me thing. But I don't see it that way. I honestly gave her my best and truest effort, and now I know she's just irredeemable. I get to hold my head up high and know I went above and beyond to try to save my marriage. I have no regrets, and it cost me what? A few months. A few $1,000s. Well worth the expense on both accounts to never in my life have to wonder if I tried hard enough, etc. Op answer, thank you for this. A 7-year affair, cannot imagine, And I am sorry to hear that it didn't work out despite your second attempt, though I am happy to hear that you are able to see it in this way. Your take on this is unique and sort of the direction I am leaning in. Very good point about wondering whether you tried hard enough. I'm sure you did. I have already stated, if it returned to the way it was, there would be absolutely no way. Of course, this includes any further betrayal. Though I know it's not over in terms of the trauma, posting this has really been therapeutic. Just the act of writing it down coherently, my emotions have calmed significantly. I'm happy I reached out. Redditor 3, you asked for opinions, so I guess I'll give mine. You've been together as a couple for 1.5 years, 3 months of which she went back to her home country and you were not together. You seem to have already experienced enough drama and toxic behavior in this relationship to last a lifetime. I don't know you or what you want from life, but if it's more of the same drama, stick with her. If you want a more stable relationship, you would likely be wise to end things and move forward without her. As far as all this retro jealousy stuff goes, it likely won't ever disappear, on either side. Your life, your call.